You just received bad news. It has consumed your thoughts. You are crying inside. You are grieving. You want to go away, but you're unable because you have work tomorrow, because your kids need you, because your spouse needs you, because you have all these things on your to-do list that is still left to do. You become numb and you just want to say to everybody, leave me alone. But you hold it inside and you do your best to be there for everyone else. Today, I will share 3 ways of how you could be compassionate even when you are consumed. Compassion fatigue is when you are tired of being empathetic. I know for me, with being a physician associate, and I had to take care of patients, then I had to go home, and I'll hear my dad complaining about his health. My mom will complain, and I spent 8 to 10 hours hearing people's complaints. The last thing I want to do is hear about anyone complaining. But then I had to remember to leave work at work and be present to what they're expressing to me. But for many of us, it is hard, especially when it's coming on us over and over and it's heavy and it's just overwhelming. And you feel like you are inconvenienced because I felt that way also. This is the segment in which it is called Resilient Faith. And this is where I will take a passage from the Bible and show you that the Bible is relevant today. And there's a story in Matthew chapter 14, verse 13, where it starts with Jesus going away. Verse 13. When Jesus heard what had happened, he withdrew by boat privately to a solitary place. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. Why he went away? Because in the beginning of that chapter, we find out that his cousin, John the Baptist, was murdered. In Matthew chapter 14, verse 12, we see that John's disciples came and took his body and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus. To show you from this verse of how Jesus, even though he was consumed with grief, he lost his cousin. He was consumed with just wanting to be alone and let him grieve and mourn his cousin. And yet, he expressed compassion. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. Number 1, the first way to be compassionate, even when you are consumed, is to see the person. So in this story, we see how Jesus saw them. So he saw that they had need. So he put his need aside and saw their need. Hearing of this, the crowds followed him on foot from the towns. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, he had compassion on them and healed their sick. Many of us, when we're so overwhelmed and we feel inconvenienced, let's be real. I want to meet my needs right now. I'm in this moment and I want to be left alone. But in order to have compassion, we need to see others, number 1, and see them not with our eyes, but with our hearts. Because when this grief, when this bad news did not happen, that's how we saw them. And now that we became overwhelmed, everything changed. But that because a circumstances came, it should not change who you are as a person, which is compassionate. So number 1 is to see the person, not from your eyes, but from your heart. As you look at that verse, you will see that Jesus saw them and then he was overwhelmed with compassion. Number 2 is after he saw them and he was compassionate, he went above and beyond. So he already saw them, he healed them, and the disciples were with him. So the disciples are saying to him, like, okay, cool, Jesus, you did what you had to do, let's go. And Jesus said, no, it's evening, it's dinner time, let's feed them. As evening approached, the disciples came to him and said, this is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food. Jesus replied, They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat. We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they answered. I remember one time at work, I worked at 7 to 7, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. It was 6:55 p.m. and I was getting ready, time to clock out, 7 o'clock. And I packed my bags, and then I heard a beep beep on the radio because I work at a jail. It said medical emergency, medical emergency. And I looked at the time and I said, Are you serious? Are you serious? I dropped everything and went to the medical emergency. Got there, took care of everything. And then by the time I finished everything to document, it was 7:30. When I found out, well, let me go back. When I got there, I saw it was only me and this other nurse, but no other healthcare provider came. And I said, okay. But then when I went to the coroner to see their office, black, everyone left. I was like, you know what, God? Thank you so much that I was here to take care of this medical emergency, because if I wasn't, who knows what would have happened. So I say all that to say it's important that we don't look at the clock at work for almost 5 o'clock or whatever the time is for you, but for us to go above and beyond for your job description. So that's number 2, go above and beyond. So first, we saw the person with our hearts and not with our eyes. Second, we go above and beyond. Before number 3, if you like what you're hearing so far, remember to like and comment. I would love to get your feedback of what I am sharing. Also, remember to subscribe. That helps a lot. And click the notification bell so then you could be notified of upcoming episodes. Number 3, go away. You'll see in verse 23, after Jesus fed the thousands of people, he finally went away to be alone. After he dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Your time to be alone will come, but it's important that we show compassion. The definition is to suffer with someone else. It's going beyond sympathy and having empathy. And once you do all that, you go rest, refuel yourself, replenish yourself, give yourself that rest, give yourself that time to grieve or to just have a woosah moment, a place to scream, whatever you need to do, but just have that place of rest and peace. So then you could eventually come back and you be filled with everything you need to express compassion. A lot of Americans do not take their vacation time and they have a lot of carryover. I would love to take your vacation time for you. You could always ship them my way. But since we cannot do that, it is important that you take a break. Demand yourself to take a break. You are one person. Ask your boss for a break. If you don't work for anyone and you work for yourself, put it on your calendar of this is my rest day. This is my leave me alone day. And let everyone know. Or just mute your phone. Don't answer. Number 1, see the person with your heart. Number 2, go above and beyond. Don't just give them the minimum because you're so consumed. And number 3, take your rest. Leave me comments, leave me feedbacks. If there's any topics you would like me to speak about, let me know. It's all about reset. Resetting ourselves mentally, physically, relationally, in every part of our lives. When you reset your mind, you reset your life. This is Rosie Resilient. Stay resilient.